Okay, Blu-rays.
We'll go ahead and get started with this one. The House Where Evil Dwells and Ghost Warrior as a double feature. So,
Can I go home?
Perfect beginning.
Can I go home? Can I just go home?
You are home.
I know, but can I really?
The House Where Evil Dwells. Who's in this one? Anyone? Oh.
That's actually Susan George and Edward Albert.
Wow.
So yeah.
is that from the 70s?
83, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, 82. There you go. 82. Yeah, it is 82. Yeah, both of them actually from 82. And it was a staple of HBO back in the days. I remember it turning up usually very late at night. But yeah, it's a ghost story. I don't even remember all the details about the plot, but I've never seen the other one, Ghost Warrior. But obviously these are Scream Factory releases, so the details I have on Ghost Warrior are: while exploring a cave, two skiers find the body of a 400-year-old samurai warrior entombed in ice. He's brought to the United States in a hush-hush operation and revived through cryosurgery, and he's forced to battle for his freedom, dignity, and life. It has Janet Julian from King of New York and Humongous as the stars.
Well, I think that's so good. I mean, I'm glad to see they could get work. I mean,
I know. So, anyway.
The House Where Evil Dwells is directed by Kevin Connor, more famous for doing things like Motel Hell and
that's true. Yeah, Motel
At
Hell.
the Earth's Core.
Yeah.
So At the Earth's Core is a great movie. Now let's not. We cannot brag on Doug McClure's finest hour. So come on.
Yes.
And Peter Cushing, I think, is in that. So.
And Doug McClure is also in the House Where Evil Dwells. So obviously there's
I'm so
a Kevin
glad that
Connor.
he got all this work. Thank God.
Yeah.
Well,
Kevin Connor and Doug McClure, the great directing, acting team of the 80s.
Yeah, the poor man's De Niro and Scorsese, right?
The welfare recipient, like, poor man, it's like worse than that.
Yeah, the low rent De Niro Scorsese. No, seriously, there are some better titles. I'm just joking around. There's some decent titles in January, actually. But I know, we'll go ahead and spit them out in chronological order here, starting January 5th. And that day saw the release of Valentino, the Ken Russell film from 1977. Definitely has, that's a Kino Lorber release, and that definitely has its charms. Especially if you're a Ken Russell fan and in a certain frame of mind. I don't know if non-Russell fans will take to it, but I have a fondness in my heart for his works, especially The Devils and The Music Lovers and some of those things. So it's, it all depends. And of course, Tommy. How can you not?
Yeah, Tommy's
so, anyway.
great. Is that Rudolph Nureyev? Is that the one?
Yes, it is.
Is that?
Yep.
So one of his few acting roles.
Yeah, it is. And it's the typical Ken Russell stuff. I mean, if you're looking for factual stuff here, you better go elsewhere because you're probably not going to find it in the Ken Russellized version of Valentino's life. But like I said, it is a Ken Russell film, and what else can you say?
And it also stars Michelle Phillips
and one of our former guests, Leslie Caron.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, wow, good call there.
Yeah. So. Anyway, what do you guys think about the Hotel New Hampshire? It was the second John Irving adaptation after World According to Garp, and Kino Lorber released that one. And that Tony Richardson, I believe, directed that. So
an interesting cast. I haven't really revisited it in a really long time.
I think it pales in comparison to the World According to Garp. I think, most films would.
Adam.
And as far as adaptations of John Irving, he's typically tough to adapt, I do think. But I felt like that, I remember my recollections of Hotel New Hampshire were that it was, you felt like they were just trying to cram everything from the novel in there but the kitchen sink. It just felt like they were just really trying hard. And Garp didn't do that. It marched to the beat of its own drummer, and they kind of did their own thing, and Hotel New Hampshire felt like it's like, well, we're going to just try to cram everything that we've got here into this film, and it didn't quite do it for me.
It's still an interesting film, though. I mean, from what I remember, I mean, it's an interesting film.
Yeah, it has its moments for sure. But anyway, we'll move along. How about Aladdin? The Return of Jafar and Aladdin and the King of Thieves are being released as a double feature. Don't know what we want to say about those, but and you remember the Return?
I feel very like those straight to video sequels to 90s Disney movies, and even like I guess they did sequels to even things like Cinderella and so forth.
Yeah,
I've never watched one, so I don't really know what their animation quality is like, but something just tells me that they can't be any good if they didn't get a theatrical release. But have you ever watched any of these?
I have not, actually, but I know the big calling card for Aladdin and the King of Thieves was that Robin Williams actually returned to do the voice, So after they had the big dispute when they were with the Return of Jafar, and he did not return for that one, and then they got everything worked out, and he came back and did the voice in the King of Thieves. So I guess if there is a reason to watch it, maybe that would be it. But I'm not sure that that's enough. But anyway, Criterion issued The Complete Lady Snowblood for fans of those films, and it's done up with the typical extra bells and whistles you would expect from a Criterion release, and so that's worth mentioning. Kino Lorber has issued The Captive City with John Forsythe, directed by Robert Wise, which I can't say that I've ever seen that, but I've always heard pretty good things about it.
I love Robert Wise movies. I think he was easily one of the more diverse directors. To come from that studio era. I mean, he made one of everything, and science fiction, horror, crime, musicals. I mean, he was really, really something else. And that's one I've never seen, so I'd like to check that out.
Yeah, that's a blind spot for me as well, and so I'm going to try to seek that one out. So moving along to January 12th, we'll say that Are We There Yet was issued on Blu-ray for the first time.
Was there a demand for that? Was there a demand for Blu-ray for
I'm not sure there was, but I'm sure that was timed with the release of
Ride Along.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Ride Along.
The latest. Ride Along, exactly.
Ice Cube, the gangster, becomes Ice Cube, the softie, I guess.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
So, there you go. And then Criterion issued Bitter Rice, which has been one of their most requested titles, I'm told. And so that finally got a pressing. As
Bitter
did
Rice. What is Bitter Rice?
I have never actually seen this, but it's Giuseppe De Santis directed, Vittorio Gassman.
It's one of their most requested titles?
Yes, that's the press release that I got anyway. So, but I've heard that from other people. I've heard that it's very, it has something to do with its planting season in northern Italy, Po Valley, and there's a rice field worker played by Silvana Mangiano who falls in love with a small-time criminal played by Vittorio Gassman, and he's planning a heist of the crop and that kind of thing. So it's kind of a crime film, but
Women rice workers. Women rice
a
workers
crime
in
film.
Po Valley is the number one requested Criterion. Wow. I don't mean to laugh.
Oscar nominated in
movie,
1951 for Motion Picture Story.
Yeah, it was. It did get an Oscar nod, and it does have a loyal following. So I do want to investigate that one because I feel like I should check out what. Well, for another Criterion, they also released The American Friend with Dennis Hopper and Wim Wenders, of course.
Yes, I can't wait to get this. I cannot wait to own this in my collection. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, they sent me a copy of it. I haven't had time to look at it yet, but it's got a ton of great extras on it. So yeah, I'm very excited about digging into it when I can find the time. But it's out there. And Shout Factory. Here's a twofer that should bring up some conversation here. Bolero and Ghosts Can Do It. Ghosts Can't Do It. I'm sorry.
Ghosts Can't Do It. That's right.
Jesus
Ghosts
Christ.
Can't Do It.
This is when Bo Derek was still somebody.
She was heavenly.
She was great. No. I mean, Bolero was. I remember when there was such a big. Everyone thought Bolero was just so raunchy and everything. I was like, really? You guys, really? I mean, you think this is raunchy? You got to be kidding me. And then there's Ghost Can't Do It, which is Anthony Quinn in Ghost Can't Do It?
I believe he is.
I know. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Robert Stack. Thank you so much. On our next episode of Unsolved Mysteries, we'll be talking about Anthony Quinn's lack of being able to do it. Okay. But, I remember these movies were a big deal when they came out. Not so much about Bolero. Yeah. Bolero was very controversial. That was 84, 85, I think.
Yep.
And God shows you how far we've come. I mean, that was controversial. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So was Pia Zadora.
wait, yeah. She was in that too?
So was Pia Zadora. So Butterfly was just as controversial.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh.
I keep waiting for the Shout Factory release of The Lonely Lady. The Pia Zadora.
Yes.
It hasn't happened yet.
That's going to happen.
You'll be waiting for a long time. Burn the negatives for that.
Well, I think Bolero, the Tarzan the Ape Man was a pretty big success for Bo Derek, and so I think they were trying to recapture that success with Bolero. I mean, I'm not saying it was a quality film, but it did make quite a bit of coinage, I believe. So, if memory serves correctly. But
Richard
anyway,
Harris was in there, right?
Yep.
He was screaming a lot, from what I remember. That's okay.
That's typical for Richard Harris.
Yes, that's good for Rich. Good for Rick there. Good, thank God.
Yeah. Well, so Kino Lorber is issuing Figures in a Landscape, directed by Joseph Losey and Robert Shaw, Malcolm McDowell there, from 1972. And that's one that it's another one, the blind spot for me, although it looks like something I would...
your title.
Yeah. It looks like something I would definitely be interested in. And How I Won the War, Crawford, of course, Richard Lester directed. And so we have, that's another Kino Lorber release.
A very difficult movie to watch for some reason. I find that movie to be so absurd that it hurts my brain.
Yeah, it's definitely an acquired taste. Let's just say that. And The Bed Sitting Room is another Kino Lorber from 1969.
Another Richard Lester movie.
It is Richard Lester Appreciation Month. All of a sudden, no, I think it is. I do like The Bed Sitting Room. Crazy film.
That is a nutty. Probably one of the nuttier nuclear themed movies out there.
Well, while we're on the Richard Lester, they're also releasing The Knack and How to Get It. So it's another Richard Lester. So I guess.
Oh my God! Now that one's fantastic.
Yeah, that is a good movie.
If people have not seen The Knack and How to Get It, you must run out and watch it immediately. It's so funny, so brilliantly photographed and directed. Charlotte Rampling is in it, the young Charlotte Rampling, and but it's Michael Crawford in the lead as a basically a sort of a nebbish kind of school teacher who wants to get laid, and swinging London, and everybody's getting laid around him, and his next door neighbor is a jazz drummer who literally has a line of women waiting at his door to sleep with him, and Crawford contracts him to teach him how to get women. And Rita Tushingham is in it, and it's just a great, really, really funny movie with a terrific John Barry score.
Yes,
and beautiful black and white. It's just it's superb. And the winner for the Palme d'Or that year in '66 at Cannes. So.
Yeah. Well, how about a 25th anniversary edition of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, the Tom Stoppard film from 1990. I don't know if anybody was clamoring for that, but it's out there.
That's got a big fan base. I used to when I was working at video stores. That was a title that people came in and searched for quite a bit. So.
Yep.
I think mostly it's Gary Oldman, right? It's Gary Oldman. And Tim Roth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was basically because of those guys, you know.
Yeah, that movie was big in my drama school.
Yeah.
So we have moving to January 19th. American Gigolo was issued that day. First time Blu-ray. Warner Brothers put that out because they control the Paramount catalog now, and so they issued that. And Gilda, the Rita Hayworth film, was issued by Criterion.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah, that was so that was again, like I said, Criterion, and also the same day, Twilight Time issued their titles, and actually I thought it was a good crop of titles myself this month. There was Bound for Glory. Of course, these are all limited to 3,000 units, of course. And all of these have the isolated scores, by the way, and commentary tracks, some of them by the guy who runs the Twilight Time company. And he's usually well-researched with these commentary tracks. So also From the Terrace is another one. With Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward. We have another Hal Ashby. We have The Last Detail. That was another one. And also have, Hawaii from 1966. And speaking of the directors of... the same guy who directed The World According to Garp, George Roy Hill, directed that one. This is the actual roadshow version. Has the overture and all that. And this is a favorite of mine. Don't know how many of our listeners out there have seen it, but it was the Richard Brooks who directed In Cold Blood. It was the first film he made after In Cold Blood called The Happy Ending, which is about the dissolution of a marriage. And it stars his wife at the time, Gene Simmons. And her husband is played by John Forsythe. And this is, if you remember the Michel Legrand song, What Are You Doing the Rest of Your Life? It comes from this film. This is the film that comes from. And it's shot in beautiful Panavision by Conrad Hall, just exquisitely photographed. And
A Happy Ending. I haven't seen that in quite some time.
Yeah, I like it. I'm a fan. And okay.
Yeah, I have to admit that's one that's kind of escaped me, and I know that Gene Simmons was nominated. She was nominated for Best Actress that year, and hearing that Conrad Hall photographs it makes me want to see it even more. So.
Yeah,
but listen to Adam pulling out the Michel Legrand trivia. Look at you.
Yeah.
Where do I begin? All right.
Yeah. That's well, I'm a Legrand fan. I started to Legrand fan.
I got the CD in the mail years ago, like the greatest hits of Michel Legrand, and I was like, really? What? There's a whole CD? It fit into a whole CD? But yeah, I got it and I listened to it. It's not dissimilar from my kind of music.
He's a master.
Oh yeah, The Umbrellas of Cherbourg and Summer of '42, obviously, and some of the other scores. Other Side of Midnight is a favorite of mine that he did.
Did he do Brian's song?
Yes, Brian's song is another one. Yes, and the Go Between.
The Go Between. Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
he could really craft a main theme that could make you like cry your eyes out.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. And even a crappy movie like The Other Side of Midnight, that score is awesome. That's a terrible movie, but that's just a fantastic score. So even though his stuff elevated even the worst films, but anyway,
there's some scores that can do that. There are some scores that can definitely do that. I mean,
exactly. So anyway, I think Twilight Time was on the ball this month, personally. So
those are really good titles.
They should change their name to About Time.
Yeah, but these are titles that I would have. I'm thankful that they sent them to me for review. I would have paid out of my pocket for all of them, to tell you the truth. But anyway, So anyway, we'll move right along. There's Inside Llewyn Davis was the first Coen Brothers that has been issued by Criterion. I don't think it's. A lot of people have said, couldn't they have done a better, more in-demand Coen Brothers film? But they got to start someplace, and there you go.
Is this film not high? I mean, I like this film, I know, but is it not highly regarded among? I mean, is this film not highly regarded among Coen Brothers enthusiasts? I mean, I would think it has everything for it. I mean, am I missing something?
My guess is there are Coen Brothers movies, obviously, that are more popular.
But this is very well made. I mean, it's their most recent film, right? It's the most recent film before Hail Caesar.
Right.
So it shows them in complete control. I mean, it's a very clever movie. It's a very, very thought-provoking movie.
I think on the bottom of their barrel is probably the divorce movie George Clooney, Intolerable Cruelty, or whatever that movie's called.
And
then the Lady Killers
remake.
And then Inside Llewyn Davis.
Okay.
I
love Inside Llewyn Davis. It was one of my favorite movies of the year. I just don't think many people got it.
It's a truly great movie. I mean,
I hope I would hope that it's going to be filled with a lot of extras that really discuss the movie's substance. So that would be the reason that I would check it out. Although I find it a very difficult movie to watch because of my love of cats. I just can't. I can't bring myself to. I can't bring myself to go and revisit it.
Yeah, that would be tough if you're a cat fan. People should be warned about that.
Yes, big time.
But it is a film. It is a kind of film that stays with you, and that's always the hallmark of a great film, I think. Because when I saw it, I wasn't sure whether I liked it or not. But then 7 days later, I was still thinking about it. And I said, okay, there's something here for sure.
It does. It does work like that.
Yeah, it is that kind of film. So Olive Films is issuing Of Mice and Men, the one with directed by Gary Sinise and starring Gary Sinise and John Malkovich.
Oh, I like that one. That's a good one.
Ray Walston, yes.
Yeah,
and
that's a very good. That's probably the definitive version of that. I mean, the other one, I guess there's one in 1939 with Burgess Meredith and Lon Chaney.
That's
right.
Yeah.
But this one's better than that, I think.
Yeah, it is. And how about this one, if you want to go real nostalgic, from 1980, Serial, directed by Bill Persky and starring Martin Mull, Tuesday Weld, and Jennifer McAllister.
Wow.
Remember
that
one?
Sounds like my kind of movie, like I'm always trying to recapture, the feeling of watching HBO in the 70s and the 80s,
This is one of them.
And I think that one sounds like perfect for me.
Oh yeah, it's a satire on the lifestyles of California's hippie culture, and I haven't seen it since probably the HBO days. So my memories aren't very sharp about it, but I definitely would like to go back and revisit that one. And here's one you probably
don't want to revisit too. I mean, it's got Sally Kellerman, Bill Macy, Christopher Lee. One of the more interesting. Peter Bonner. I mean, really, really great.
Mm-hmm.
Late 70s cast. Tom Smothers.
Oh, God. Yep.
Is,
Name the movie that Tommy Smothers and Christopher Lee did together.
You may have a point on that one. Well, here's one you probably don't want to revisit. I don't think the director does either, and that would be The Guardian, directed by William Friedkin. He doesn't even make mention of it in his...
No one wants to revisit The Guardian. I'm sorry. No one wants to revisit it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're right. He didn't even mention it in his autobiography, did he?
Nope.
Nope.
Not even in there.
Jerry actually asked him about that, and he said... it's not that I think it's a bad movie. I just don't remember anything about it. Both that and Deal of the Century. He just didn't remember anything about either one.
Well, Deal of the Century has more merit than The Guardian. But The Guardian,
yeah.
Yeah, you know, right before the Twilight Zone disaster, I think he shot a big helicopter fire explosion sequence in that very same spot for Deal of the Century.
Mm-hmm.
Really, in the same exact spot that they?
Yeah, that area was countless shows and movies were shot in that same spot for war battle scenes.
Right.
But he had all the elements that Twilight Zone had too: helicopters and explosions and people running away.
Yeah.
He just did it in the daytime.
He did it in the day. That was the big difference. Probably. That was the difference between it working and not working.
Well, if anybody's clamoring for a copy of The Guardian, Scream Factory's put it out there. So, for whatever it's worth.
Okay.
And can do commentary on it?
No, I don't think there's any commentary.
I don't remember this movie at all, so I'll watch it right alongside of you.
I swear, that's kind of like what his commentary for The Exorcist was like. It was like, man, he's just telling us what's on screen. He's not.
Yeah.
I hate those kind of commentaries.
I do too. Yeah, kind of. I'm looking for the dirt. I'm not looking for the obvious. So.
The Exorcist was about the mysteries of faith. It was not a horror film.
Yeah. So, well, how about this one? Do we have fond memories for the Ice Pirates from 1984? I don't know if anybody does, but
it's a fun, beer drinking movie just to sit around and laugh at, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Girls of that age group love that movie.
It's no Big Trouble in Little China, but it's not horrible.
One of the few films with Robert Urich, feature film, is in the lead role, I think.
He was such a huge TV star. People forget what a huge TV star he was, but he had what was it that he had, like did he have a series on for like 20 years? Like
wasn't Spencer for Hire? Is that him? Is that the whole thing?
Yeah, well, in Vegas.
But I think he was the lead in a series for in a very, very varied number of series for like over 20 years. He never had. There was never a time where he wasn't on TV.
Right, that's true. No, that's a good point.
He was like the Trump of his day.
Yes, he was a huge star.
Mm-hmm. No, he was.
That was funny. Hang on, I just cracked myself up. Hang on, I'm not done laughing.
Oh man.
Well, here's a series of films I'll have to say I'm not familiar with, and it's called the Pretty Peaches trilogy. It's from 1978, the original Pretty Peaches, and I think it's a softcore film or something. And that's a porn film, isn't it? Pretty Peaches. Yes. Yeah, and there's two sequels, and anyway, they're coming out in a set in case anybody's interested in them. And,
it's the most demanded title since Bitter Rice. It's about a female Georgia.
And if you've ever had Bitter Rice and Pretty Peaches together, it's a taste treat.
Okay.
Very good. Very good. Very good. So, one of Michael Curtiz, the director of the Casablanca, one of his early films, a silent film, The Undesirable, is being issued by Olive Films. So,
wow, they don't really get into silent films too much.
No, they usually don't. But but they have, and so that's getting issued, which is kind of interesting. And then we'll move right along to January 26th, which we're coming up on. And that day they're releasing the 1981 3D film. You remember when 3D came back for a brief heyday in the early 80s, and this was one of the first films to jump on that bandwagon, Coming at You. And, it was an Italian film, I think. And anyway, there's
another
one. Yeah, it was like Coming at You and The Treasure of the Four Crowns, and then other things like Space Hunter, Adventures in the Forbidden Zone, and Parasite, and Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D,
and Amityville 3D,
Amityville, right. So there was a little mini explosion back then of 3D.
Yep.
You used to. I remember when they showed The Creature from the Black Lagoon on regular television, and you could go to your local gas station and pick up the glasses.
Yeah. I still have those glasses for that. I still have that.
Yeah. That and Gorilla at Large. That was the other
one. Right.
Oh my God, I remember that. Oh my.
With Ed Bancroft.
My friend's sister cried because the 3D was so bad it didn't work. For the Black Lagoon, she burst out crying. She was so upset.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep. Those were I remember it was in our area. It was 7-Eleven that had the glasses.
Yeah. And, you went to 7-Eleven. Yep.
Yeah. That's the way it was. Yeah. It was summer of '82 here. So when all that went down. So yeah. So. We're going back to 1988 for this title, Jack's Back, with James Spader and Cynthia Gibb, and directed by Rowdy Harrington. So,
Harrington.
Well, another one of those 80s treasures, that Scream Factory trots
That's not
out
a
there.
bad movie. That's like the first movie I remember watching when we first got HBO was on. So, not James Spader was just coming in. Just, becoming somewhat of a name, I guess, because of Sex, Lies, and Videotape. And so that was, I remember the first movie, I remember watching on HBO that I'd never heard of. I was like, wow, this is not bad, It's not a bad movie for what it is,
Is he supposed to be Jack the Ripper or something?
That's right, I believe, yeah. One I recall. So,
all right, that says it all.
Well, Scream Factory also is issuing the same day, this coming Tuesday, Sonny Boy with David Carradine, Paul L. Smith, Brad Dourif, Alexandra Powers, and Michael Boston, directed by Robert Martin Carroll. So anything with Paul L. Smith is somewhat interesting just because of his presence. He's the guy that played the brutal guard in the Midnight Express.
In Midnight Express? Yeah.
That's the guy.
And he played Bluto, of course, in Popeye, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And he's in the cult film, the Sam Raimi second film, Crime Wave.
Right.
He has a very interesting part in that movie. His voice is obviously dubbed in that film. It's kind of interesting if you haven't seen it. But one of my guilty pleasures from the 70s, I'm kind of excited about this one. It's being issued by Scream Factory from 1973, and I think we briefly mentioned this from last show, which is, as if a snake was hissing. The title actually reads S.
It's funny, you can't say the title without explaining it.
I know you can't say the title. It's just hiss it. Say it, don't hiss it. Or hiss it, don't say it is what the title for the film. That was the tagline. But I love this movie as far as these 70s treasures, drive-in type films. It was actually put out by Universal, and Strother Martin and Dirk Benedict are the stars here. And this was one of those rare films. Strother Martin was one of the great character actors of our time, of course. And this was one of the rare instances where he got to be the lead, which makes it worth watching it for no other reason. And he plays this scientist who's been working on this a way to turn his assistants into king cobras, basically.
This movie was fucked up. Oh God, it
yeah,
gave me nightmares for years. But yeah. Oh my God, man, it's a crazy movie.
Yeah, and we were talking about Robert Urich earlier. His wife, his widow now, Heather Menzies, has the female role in this film. And she also was in Piranha, later on. But I actually I kind of had a crush on her when I saw this film as a kid, so I have to admit. But I thought this was a really interesting film, and it has makeup work by the guy who was I'm thinking of his name, Chambers, the Chambers guy who did the makeup for Planet of the Apes.
John Chambers.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, John Chambers.
Yeah. Yeah, he does the guy that was portrayed in Argo by John Goodman. He does the makeup in this film of the snake creations, snake human, whatever. So anyway, for anybody that's interested in that film from the 70s, there you go. It's coming out Tuesday. And The Wrong Man, the classic Alfred Hitchcock film.
Oh my God!
Warner Archive. So so there you go.
I'm always disappointed that that's not included in my Hitchcock box set, which I think that's one of his great movies.
I know it is too bad, and that's a non-universal title. That's what happened. They didn't, they were not. They didn't want to pay, I guess, for the licensing or something. So that's one they didn't get they didn't have the ability to put in there, and it's too bad because, like you said, that's an essential 50s Hitchcock, I do think. So
is that the one with Henry Fonda?
Yeah,
Henry Fonda plays a bass player in a New York orchestra who is mistaken for the robber of a insurance office, and it really it's really, I think, one of Hitchcock's most personal movies because it there's that famous story that Hitchcock told. We're not even really sure if it's true, about him being put into prison by his father when he was a kid. Like, just he had done something wrong, and his father called the police, and they put him in jail for a little bit, and that sort of sparked his lifelong fascination with tales of law and order, and this movie puts Henry Fonda in the jail, and you can't help but, once that scene arrives, can't help but think, wow, this is really something that Hitchcock is really into. Like, he is, you can feel his engagement in the story, and
that was one of his major
Vera
fears,
Miles is great.
Imprisonment.
Yeah. Vera Miles is great in it too, as his wife that slowly comes unraveled. And also, it's one of Hitchcock's only movie that he did in kind of a documentary style. He insisted on going to the actual locations to film rather than building a lot of sets. I think the only set that was built for it was maybe the insurance office, but there's a lot of New York footage in it, which is also unusual for a Hitchcock movie as well. So it's really, really good.
Yeah, I agree. And one more title. This will pretty much wrap it up here. For the month, there's a twofer from a company called HD Cinema Classics. These are two film noir films from the 40s and 50s. One is Suddenly with Frank Sinatra and Sterling Hayden, and the other one is The Red House with Edward G. Robinson and Judith Anderson. So, for anybody interested in those, it's a
Sinatra.
double feature.
I just talked about Suddenly a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I didn't know at that time was Sinatra, after the Kennedy assassination, he tried to have those prints destroyed. He didn't want to be associated with that movie anymore.
That doesn't surprise me, because I mean he kind of did the same thing too with the Manchurian Candidate for many years after it